Skateboarding trains and Master Chief's return. It is time for a gaming check-in. Let's talk about it. Hello there everybody and welcome to The Comfy Spot. My name is Tyler and today it is time for our latest installment of Gaming Check-In. This is my monthly series where I talk about the latest games that I have been playing, be they old or new. In this video we are going to be talking about 3 specific games. We are not going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15 in this video. It is not one of the games, although I have been playing it this past month. I played a lot of it this past month of July. Not talking about it anymore in this video. I'll say that I did finish the main story. I'm working my way through the DLCs now. Any further future Final Fantasy 15 discussion will be happening in my revisiting Final Fantasy 15 video that will be coming out at some point in the near future. So get subscribed and turn on the notifications, that way you know as soon as that video comes on out and you can be one of the first to see it. That aside, today we are talking about 3 other games that I am very excited to talk about, and I've enjoyed them all to varying degrees. We're going to start with my favorite game of the month, quite possibly my favorite game of the year so far, that being Denshattack. Denshattack was developed by an indie team called Undercoders, and my gosh, this game is absolutely amazing. It first came onto my radar and many of our radars when it appeared, I believe, in a Nintendo Direct last year, I believe it was. And at the time, it was just like, what the heck are we even seeing here? We're seeing trains doing skateboarding tricks, trains riding on Ferris wheels, bouncing all over the place, giant mech type things. It would seem utterly bizarre, but it had my interest. It caught my eye. I was like, I want to know more about this game. I want to play this game. And it is finally out, and it more than lives up to all the hype, more than lives up to expectations. In fact, it exceeded all of my expectations that I had for this game. Real quick premise here for Denshattack: you play as this girl, or rather the main story revolves around this young woman named Emmy, who in this world that Denshattack is set in, it's like kind of like a post-apocalyptic, not post-apocalyptic, but like this post-climate crisis that has happened. So in Japan, there are all these like cities that are set in, that are like housed in these domes that are like I guess in these dome cities, they are run by this this AI corporation of sorts called Marvel. And there are people outside the dome cities who, kind of live freely and all, and they kind of do their own thing. And in order to get around the country, it's all about traveling by train, essentially. So when you're outside the country, you have your regular trains, but if you're inside the dome cities, you have like the high-tech trains that Marito controls and runs and everything. And Emmy, the girl that the story revolves around, she's just at first like a ramen shop owner, and she just goes to deliver some ramen to someone who she meets. I think his name is Fernando, if I'm correct. And he's like, hey, you're really cool, you're awesome. And then they form a bond. And he's like, hey, have you ever heard of Denshattack? And Denshattack is basically, I'll call it the art of freeform expression and extreme sports with the trains as you go around the country and everything. And there's like a whole culture around Denshattack. There are professional Denshattackers, there are gangs of Denshattackers and all, and Emmy gets wrapped up in it. And then it essentially becomes a journey of following Emmy as she goes to this place, she beats the gang leader there, they join her crew, they get inspired by her, and they follow her along her journey to become the best Denshattacker, and then take down Marito, this AI company, this AI corporation at all. And it's very anime coded, very, very anime coded in terms of the bonds of friendship and all like that. But it's also very anime coded in terms of how extreme and exaggerated and over the top and bizarre it is, but all in the best ways. Like when I first saw this game, I thought to myself of Kill La Kill and Gurren Lagann, and those are kind of my 2 go-tos in terms of really crazy over the top anime that are just bizarre premises, but also in terms of the energy and the excitement and the action and just that type of feeling that you get from it. Those are my go-tos. there's like no surprise that they're also both made by Studio Trigger. So that's what I got from Denshattack just watching it, and that energy and everything from both of those series is fully conveyed here in the gameplay and the story and just the visuals of Denshattack. It is all gas, no brakes, balls to the wall, just absolutely insane, and I loved it. Now, I'm not someone who typically plays sports games or like skateboarding games. I really have not played a skateboarding game since Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like on the PS1 or the PS2. It was like one of those was the last one I played. I think I played like a bit of an SSX game. I played a little bit of Riders Republic, like the beta and all. Like, they're cool games, but I've never really been one to like really be hardcore into them and all. So like, this type of game is not one that I would normally play, but Denshattack, you know, for those who really aren't into that type of style of game, let me tell you, it is more than worth your time. It's worth your energy. It's worth your money. It's worth your interest. It's worth your attention. It is a lot of fun. Now, you know, when you start the game off, it does ease you into its different mechanics. You know, you start off with just your jumping and your tricks, and then it introduces you to grinds, and it introduces you into wall grunts, and it introduces you to manuals and stuff. And then next thing you know, it introduces you to, hey, there's now a mechanic where you can, when you do a jump, you do a trick while you are in the air in this like in this air funnel, and then allows you to get like extra air time and do another jump while you're in the air. Then there's also the mechanic of, hey, here's the thing that lets you switch tracks to go to like ride a track on the ceiling, and then switching from the ceiling in the ground. Like, it adds layers to the mechanics and everything. And after a bit, you know, after a couple hours, it does become very mechanically complex, especially because of how fast-paced the gameplay is. Like, this is not a slow game, and you're constantly having to think like on the fly, like, all right, do this. But after a bit, like, the way the game eases you into its different mechanics, it eventually becomes second nature, and it's never overwhelming in a bad way. Like, it doesn't overwhelm you with mechanics when you're first starting. Like, by the time you're at the point where you're dealing with 3, 4, 5 different mechanics in terms of like tricks and how to get around and stuff, by that point you've already mastered, or should have already mastered, or at least become proficient in the ones that you already have been doing for a bit, the ones that you've already gained. So just adding another one on top of it is like, all right, you've gotten good with that stuff. Now that you know how to drift on 2 tracks at the same time, on top of doing the trick in the air to get the extra air time, now that you know how to do that and you've been comfortable with that, because the way it introduces a trick is these different mechanics, is that more or less each level, because let's call it each region, because there are 9 regions in the game, and each region is broken up into a bunch of different stages, and each region introduces essentially one new mechanic. Like, the first 2 regions, maybe the first 3, introduce the basics, but then after that it's like, all right, here's one new mechanic for this region, here's the new mechanic for this region. So you're already like working your way up and getting more proficient, and then it says, here's a new thing for you to work with, and it's like, all right, you take a moment to get adjusted to it, get acclimated with it, and then you're just like, all right, it just becomes another item in your toolbox for you to use and dish out awesome skills and awesome tricks and stuff, and just look like a total badass, and just like revel in this very flashy, over-the-top action. It is a lot of fun. Again, like I said, it's not necessarily overwhelming in a bad way. It can be overwhelming at times when like there's so much happening on screen at such a fast pace, at such a fast clip, where you're like, all right, I gotta do this, and I gotta jump up here, then I gotta jump down here, then I gotta change tracks over here, then I'm also trying to do tricks to raise my points up and stuff. It can be a lot because of how your brain has to operate on overdrive to keep up with everything that's happening. But again, I never felt like it was overwhelming in a bad way. I felt like it was a game that was just, really adrenaline pumping. Again, just all gas, no brakes, where I was just like, I was getting in the zone. It's that type of game where like it kind of demands that not demands necessarily. But as you play it, you just kind of naturally fall into a flow state of sorts. And it's kind of actually cool that's kind of actually a cool thing too, because as you play in the first region, and as you get to the end of the first region, they introduce this mechanic. It's really essentially like your combo meter. And if you get your combo meter filled out entirely, you end up in this like in the zone mode. There's a specific word for it that the game has, but I don't remember what it's called. And when you're in this mode, it kind of persists throughout the rest of the level that you're in for however long you're in it. And this in the zone mode opens up different routes that you can take throughout a level. So like you'll be driving down, if you're going down the track originally, normally you might only have like the main path, but once you get this in the zone mode, it might pop up like a track on the left hand side for you to go on that'll take you all the way to like a roundabout way to continue on the main path. Or if you're in doing, say, like one of the trick type levels, because there are many different levels in the game, there are your linear set piece type levels where there's just one set path, you go start to finish. Then there are levels like that are more like trick park levels or skate park levels, where it's like, hey, you have 2 minutes here, try and hit as high a score as possible, and also like try and complete these other challenges. And every level has multiple challenges you could do. But these like skate park more or less levels, it's like, hey, try and do the best you can essentially in 2 minutes. And then there are like races that you can do against other people or against other opponents in the game. And then there are like levels where it's like a big open area more or less, and there are like 3, 4, 5 main objectives you have to complete in that area, and you can go about it as you want. There's no time limit on it. And if you end up in the zone mode on any of those levels at any point, you then have just like multiple different alternate paths that open up to you as you're going through the level. And it's really cool and really fun when you end up getting it and then you're like, all right, cool, now I'm gonna go on this path and see what this takes me, see what other collectibles I could find along this path. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And this takes me to the next thing I want to kind of talk about, that being the level design in Denshattack. It is top notch. Every level feels like its own unique theme park, amusement park ride. Like, I had such a blast with every level. No level feels exactly the same as the next one. They all feel unique. They all feel different. There's something distinct about each one. 1 minute you're just, skating and you're not skating, you're driving your train in the forest. Another level, you'll be driving your train and you're going underwater and there's all these underwater fish and everything. Another level, you're doing this like boss fight against Godzilla essentially. And there's a boss level, you're basically going up against this giant castle. It's just, there's so much to it, but the level design is so well done in so many of these levels, partly because of these alternate paths you could take, but the way they're designed, it just encourages you to constantly be doing your tricks, constantly be trying to find new ways to be as flashy as you can going down the path, following along the tracks, even on the most linear levels where it's like, all right, yeah, point A to point B. There's still something about each one that encourages you to be like, hey, it's not just a boring level. It's still a lot of fun to be had on it. There's just so much great about this game. This is a game that I thought was going to be good. I thought it was going to be pretty fun. And I found myself like really, 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 really enjoying this game far more than I ever thought I was going to, far more than I imagined I would. And not because I thought it was going to be like just like a 7 out of 10 type of game or anything like that, but just because I didn't expect it to get its hooks in me the way in which it did. I didn't expect myself to become so enraptured with the game, to become so invested in replaying levels, to try to get the best score I could, to try to complete as many of the challenges as I could in each level, to try and just do the level in a cleaner fashion than I did before. Like, all right, I got through the level once already, and I did it pretty well. I got through it in a pretty cool, flashy way. But now that I know how this level goes, let me try and actually do it in a cooler way. Let me try and do more flashy tricks. Let me try and get it in a sleeker fashion. Like, it's just like, it's that type of game. And that's the type of game that just like, I think those are some of the type of games that like really stick with me the most, where like I didn't expect it to hit the way it did, but it hit me in a really, really special way. And I was just like, I fell head over heels for it. So Denshattack is awesome. I played it on the Switch too. For the most part, it was a 60 frames per second experience, no problem there. There were a few times where I noticed like the frame rate dipping down and it kind of sort of chugging a bit, but it was not too often. It's a short game as well. It's only maybe 9-10 hours. It's really not that long, but there is a lot of replayability in terms of, again, the challenges that each level has, trying to complete them all, trying to get gold medals on every single level, So there is plenty of replayability there. And even if you aren't trying to go for the gold in every level, there is just, again, that immense satisfaction that comes with being able to be like, yeah, I looked so freaking badass and cool and awesome getting to this level. Like, it's just a lot of fun. It is so much fun. I highly recommend that anyone and everyone play this game. Give it a try, give it a shot. I think you'll be very surprised by how fun it is, by how much you end up enjoying it. I believe it's only 20 bucks. I think it's not that expensive. I will almost certainly pick this up on my PS5 as well. It's not often that I double dip on a game, but if I do double dip on a game or even consider double dipping on a game, it is because like it's a game that really hit me like in the best way possible. So Denshattack, highly recommend it. Please, 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 please go play this game. Undercoders did an amazing job with this. The music is fantastic. The gameplay is just unbelievable. It is so much fun, so creative, so inventive in terms of just like the things you can do, how just crazy over the top this is. I could not get over it. And like, I know I mentioned Kill La Kill and Gurren Lagann in terms of like, man, I got those vibes from just the energy of this game. But even like the last two levels, it's just like, oh my god, like we are going here, we are doing this in terms of just real power friendship type stuff. And also this is going to places I never would have expected it to from the start for this crazy premise, and we're taking this to the next level and really going there. Like it is an utter blast. Again, I can't say enough good things about it. I wish I had more time because I would have done a proper review for this game. I just simply did not have the time because, again, working on revisiting Final Fantasy 15 right now. But if I was to review this game, I would absolutely be giving Denshattack a 9 out of 10. It is a fantastic game. Go play it. It is well worth your time and your money. Now, game number 2 for this episode of Gaming Check-In is going to be Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls. I participated in the recent open beta that happened this past weekend, and up front, I am going to say right now, so that everyone understands where I'm coming from, I'm really not much of a fighting game person, and this is kind of becoming a running theme for this episode in terms of me playing games that I'm not necessarily big fans of that genre. Now, when it comes to fighting games, I like Super Smash Brothers. I loved Injustice back in the day on the PS3 or PS4. And Street Fighter, that's cool. I like playing that pretty casually, of course. That's like, once in a while I play Street Fighter. But I'm not really much of a fighting game person. Smash is really like the most in-depth hardcore I get when it comes to fighting games, because I'm not one for going into training mode and labbing a bunch and trying to get frame perfect moves and everything and learning all the combos and stuff. It's not really my thing. It's not my bag. It's not my vibe. It is what it is. But that is no shade or anything or trying to discredit anyone who is into it. I understand, all the appeal for it. It's just not something I particularly do. I'm really casual when I come to playing fighting games. Now, Marvel Tōkon, I have been very interested and excited for this game since it was first announced. Arc System Works, basically making Marvel vs. Capcom, except it's not Marvel vs. Capcom. It looks amazing, it sounded amazing on paper, and the game itself is a lot of fun. I will say that up front, it is a fun game, actually getting my hands on the sticks. The thing is, with my approach, with my background when it comes to fighting games, for me, typically, if I get a fighting game, I typically maybe play it for, a week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and depending on how excited and how invested I am in it, will determine whether or not I keep playing it longer term, or if I just it's a once in a blue moon type of thing. So it happens to be with Street Fighter 6. It's a game where I'm like, cool, I'm comfortable with it, I'll jump onto it whenever I feel like it. But for me, with Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls, It's kind of like that, but at the same time, it is actually a bit more of a mechanically in-depth game than I expected it to be, which is not a bad thing. It's just a bit of a clash there, a bit of a culture clash there between me and the game. So because of that, it's not one that I will be picking up. I'm not going to be picking up Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls, but I did enjoy the bit of time that I did spend with it. I played on Sunday, the last day of the open beta. I played it for about 3 to 4 hours, dabbled around with different characters and all. I enjoyed playing as Magic. I enjoyed playing as Blade. I liked Spider-Man. Storm was cool to play as well, and so was Miss Marvel. I enjoyed those 5 characters in particular. Black Panther was cool too. I enjoyed her as well. But for me, again, it's the fact that this game is more mechanically in-depth than I thought it was. So of course you have your, your light, your medium, your heavy attacks, and then with Marvel Tōkon, the big hook with it is the tag team stuff that you could do. So calling in your partners to do assist moves, and then when you call them in, switching to them, or just switching to them instead of like having them do an assist move. And that is part of the giant hook here when it comes to Marvel Tōkon. And there's layers of depth to it in terms of you press, like if you just press X, that calls in your next ally to do an attack, and if you keep pressing X, that calls them all in to do an assist attack, and then you press L2 when they're in to switch to them entirely. Or if you want to just switch to a character or call in a specific one, you have to press a specific you have to press a specific button or a specific input, like directional input and the X button, or L2 to either switch directly to that character or call them in for the assist. So there's that layer of it, but then there's also the layer, well, that's actually the main thing for me really, is just getting to grips with that. And then all the characters, they have unique attacks, and then there's other different attacks. Like, it's just, there's more to it that I can properly explain. Again, partly because I'm not much of a fighting game person, and a lot of it I was trying to like learn on the fly. I went through the training mode, practiced it and everything. Training mode was fine. I went through it and all, but as I was playing the game in the beta, it was, again, I only played for 3-4 hours, and perhaps I would need longer to really get comfortable and be like, all right, I have a good solid feel for this game and how it plays. But I was kind of getting there, but I could tell it was going to take longer than I would have liked for me to get to that point with Marvel Tōkon where I was like, yeah, this is a game where that I could buy it, and even if I only play it once or twice or so, or like every so often, I'll have a good time. It won't be too difficult for me to get back into it and like have a fun time with it. Unlike something like Street Fighter, for me. It's just a tad, has a tad more mechanical depth, a tad more investment that one would have to put into it that I simply do not have because I'm not that type of fighting game person. I did have get some cool combos off. I also enjoyed playing as Ghost Rider. I just thought about him, completely forgot about him. I did get some cool combos off, and I did have some fun matches. And to be clear, I was only playing against the CPU. I was not going online because, again, casual here. I'm not about to go online and get like utterly destroyed by people, even if I was only playing in casual matches online. I was not going to do that. So doing the versus mode was basically essentially playing against a training dummy, because although the computer in the versus mode, they will fight back. Like, they never actually switched up their teammates or anything like that. Like, they would call in an assist, but they never actually switched their characters. So it was basically like whoever I set for them to be their the first member of their team was essentially who I was fighting for the entire match with all 4 of mine. So, like, I was beating ass in the versus mode when I was playing, but to a degree, only to a degree, a very casual degree. Please understand this and understand the perspective I'm coming from. But I was still able to understand what the game is going for, understand what type of game this is, understand the appeal and the enjoyment that the most hardcore fighting game fans would get out of it. I think just for me, when I was trying to do like some of the assist stuff or the character swap stuff, it wasn't either. I don't know if it was the thing of me not doing it properly, or it just maybe being a bit more needing a bit more finesse than I was giving it. I'm not sure if it was the fact that it felt a bit slower than I would have liked it to. Maybe I would have liked it to be feel a bit like a tad bit snappier when it came to doing some of the character swap stuff. There's layers to it and all that kept me from feeling like I was fully connecting with the game and being able to fully get the most enjoyment out of it. But I still did have a good time when I was playing the game. It's not a bad game at all. I think that it will find itself a large community in the fighting game community. I mean, it's, Marvel vs. Capcom's spiritual successor, more or less. It is coming from Arc System Works. So, by all intents and purposes, those two facts right there are already going to mean this game is going to have legs for sure and is going to have a dedicated audience. And the fundamentals, I can tell the fundamentals are there for this to, for it to be further refined, and I guess, from patches and everything to refine things for the characters. It is a good game. It's an enjoyable game. And, I think if you are in the fighting game community, you're already probably all over this game. You don't need me to tell you otherwise. If you are not in the fighting game community, I would definitely direct you more to one of them, to someone in the fighting game community who is more in this alley, who is more not well known, but more well acclimated in terms of what they want from a fighting game, what you should expect from a fighting game, what that experience is gonna be. For me, I don't know if this is necessarily, I don't know if I'd say that it's not one for a casual player, because I mean, you could say that really about any fighting game, but for me, this specific casual fighting game player, it is not one for me. If it was like a PS Plus game, for sure I'd download it and play it and have a good time. But I personally would not spend money on it because I know myself and how I already am with fighting games, and it would be a game that I bought and I played for maybe a week and then never touched again. Unlike Street Fighter 6, where I still jump into that occasionally, especially on my Switch. If I'm just like, you know what, I want to kill time, let me just do a couple matches, I can jump back into that, take maybe 20 minutes to get back accustomed to my character, and then I'm good, off to the races. Whereas Marvel Tōkon requires a bit more than that from me. So that's why I fell on Marvel Tōkon. Not a bad game. It is a good game. And I hope that those who are looking forward to it, definitely enjoy it when it comes out later in August. It should be a fun time when that one comes on out. The last game we're going to talk about today is Halo Campaign Evolved. And I have thoughts about this one. Largely positive, but it is a bit of a mixed bag here. I will say this. I have played Halo. I've played all the mainline Halo games. ODST, never finished it, but I played all the mainline Halo games. I love the Halo series. It's a series that I don't want to say I'd hold near and dear to my heart, but I have a lot of fond memories of it. It is a game that I understand the importance and the legacy behind it. It's a great series. I love Halo. But as it pertains to this remake here, I believe I voiced on the channel before that I think the game looked good, but I was kind of hoping that, I was hoping for the next step of the series. I wasn't necessarily excited at the fact that we were going back to the well again with Halo 1 here. And the only reason that I even got it was solely for the novelty of it being on PlayStation 5. I got it on my PS5, played it on there for the novelty of, hey, it's Halo on PlayStation. Never thought this would happen. It's real to see it. And after I finished it last night on Heroic, I promptly deleted it, and I'm never going to play it again. That's where I fell on it. But, that's where I'm coming in at. That's the perspective I have with it. This Halo 1 is not new to me. It is Halo 1 as you would imagine it to be, except in Unreal Engine 5. And so, number one, it is a pretty game. Visually, of course, it's going to be a major step up over any prior version of Halo 1. Importantly, it does still feel like Halo as well, because again, this is now on Unreal Engine 5. First time Halo game is not being made on the series' proprietary in-house engine. Now it's on Unreal, and it does feel like Halo, which is something that many people were worried about. You could put those fears to rest. It does feel good. It feels like you would expect it to, like a classic Halo game. Now, when it does come to the visuals, like I said, it does look pretty. I do think the game looks good. Personally, I kind of miss the look of the in-house engine though. To me, again, to my eye, subjectively, Halo Campaign Evolved, although it is more detailed and it looks better, I do feel like it has a bit of a softer look to it that kind of takes away from that feels a tad bit lesser than, to my taste, from what we had with, like, say, Halo Infinite. I liked the art direction of Halo Infinite and what we have from the prior games. And this look here, it's a softer look. It's not bad, but I was like, it just felt, it feels different, and not necessarily a way that I like, not in a good way to me. And this is even the case when it comes to the cutscenes as well. The cutscenes, I'm pretty sure they are Unreal Engine 5, like, pre-rendered cutscenes. They're not real-time cutscenes though. So watching the cutscenes and, like, seeing how some of the characters looked and everything, I was like, again, like, I missed the real-time cutscenes. I wish that I would feel differently if they were real-time cutscenes in Halo Campaign Evolved, but they are not. They are these pre-rendered ones. So the pre-rendered cutscenes, everything, again, it has like this, there's a bit of a soft, smoothish look to it that, I hate to say this because it's a bit of a non-description. I hate to say it, but it kind of just reminded me so much of, like, a Fortnite cutscene. And not to say the game looks like Fortnite. Obviously, like, Unreal Engine 5 behind Fortnite, behind this, obviously there's going to be some, like, similarity there, some visual similarity to an extent. But watching this, I was just like, man, like, it feels like these cutscenes are just like something out of Fortnite visually. And it was taking me out of the experience a bit whenever I saw them. Like, it's not like they were as refined as the Blur cutscenes from Halo 2, the anniversary for that, nor are they, like, as I guess not as refined, but nor were they as nice as the real-time cutscenes that we got in Halo Infinite. This is like, it's in this weird middle ground where, like, yes, technically I guess it's better, but aesthetically, for me, subjectively, I felt like they just were, by and large, for the most part, worse. I preferred the older cutscenes, or at least just how they looked in the prior engine, in the Slipspace engine. That's just a me thing, though. I'm sure many people will feel differently. But that all goes into this feeling that I had with this game where I was like, I understand that this is definitely meant to be a testing bed for Halo on Unreal 5 and it being the foundation for what the future of the series will be built on. I get that, and I understand that that is like a big part of why this game even exists. But it just added to this feeling I have of, yep, we're playing the hits, like, you know, sending it through the factory on, you know, on the assembly chain, on the assembly line of, send this one back, go back to the beginning, you know, make it prettier though, the people will love this, send it back down this, just down the assembly line. There's another phrase or word I'm looking for, I'm blanking on it right now, but it just made it feel so artificial and not as, if it made the game itself, feel a bit artificial and not like there was the heart and soul and passion behind it that I got from something like Infinite or even any of the other older Halo games. Just the way that this game looked and just the experience I had with it reminded me of, this is being made on Unreal to facilitate the games in the series being made faster and made easier because of the way that Halo Studios and Microsoft goes about hiring and retaining staff for their games and their teams. And this is the easiest way to get it done. And when I had that in mind, it just had, with that mindset, it was just like, yeah, this feels like factory made, so to an extent. And I don't know, I was not vibing with it and connecting with it as much as, you know, one might have liked to. And I guess that just added to like the already hesitancy I had going into this game and like my lack of excitement for the game itself just on its own, point blank period. That's not to take away from the game itself. Like, you know, it's Halo 1. Halo 1 is a good game. It is a well-made game. You know, I'm sure that the Halo devotees and diehards and the super fans who have replayed Halo 1 over and over again will be able to point out all the new intricacies and the new details and new touches that were made here that are better or worse than the original Halo 1. I mean, of course, you can sprint now. That was never in the original. I know that already has people divided on the subject there. There's also the fact that there are no health packs. You don't have to worry about health packs in this one. You have a regenerating shield, which is cool. I appreciate that change. Not having to worry about health packs in 2026 is very welcome. Same with sprint, in my opinion. It is very welcome to not have to worry about that. And then they also added weapons into this game that were not in the original Halo 1, such as the energy sword. You can now use that amongst other weapons as well that were originally introduced later on in the original series, which is cool, which is nice. You know, there are dozens of skulls to unlock and other collectibles and stuff to get. You know, if you want to do it, I only got 2 skulls. I wasn't looking for them again. I played this for the novelty of it. So if you are someone who, you know, is really excited about this, or if you are new to the series, you know, there is a lot here for you to chew on in terms of you play it, and then there's a lot of replayability in terms of doing a co-op, going for the skulls, playing again with the skulls on, so on and so forth. There is stuff there. But if you're someone who's played the series before, played Halo 1 before, you're not new to it, you like the series, but you're not like super diehard where you have to play everything or you need everything from Halo, you know, it's really like a one and done thing or for the novelty on PlayStation type of thing, and that's about it. There are also 3 new bonus missions that are a prologue to the main game story. It takes place like a year prior. Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson, they're on a mission, like storming a Covenant ship and everything. They definitely feel like bonus missions. They don't feel very significant to the greater story of Halo or Halo 1 itself. It definitely feels like a, hey, here's a nice thing for you to do. They kind of feel like cutting room floor missions. They're not bad, they're not great though, they are just, you know, they're fine, they are what they are. I went through them, it was just a fine time. I will say the library is definitely improved. I don't know, me personally, because of my history with Halo 1, I don't know if I would say fixed per se, but it is definitely improved. You know, you're still going through the hallways and everything, but in terms of navigating, it is much better. Visually, it is much better because now as you're going through the library, it is becoming more and more visually overrun and infected by the flood and everything, like visually all over the walls and stuff. So that adds a nice touch to spice up the look of things, to spice up the feel of it all. It's great stuff there. But overall, by and large, Halo Campaign Evolved, it's a fine game. If I was to put a score on it, I'd probably put like a 7 out of 10 on it. Also, I want to say, again, I was playing on base PS5, and I was playing in the default performance mode for it. I'm not a fan of how the game has these like visual filters on by default. It's like there's like a film grain and maybe some chromatic aberration on by default. Cannot turn them off. No option in the settings for them, which definitely takes away some from the look of the game. And also, when you are in certain fights that have a lot of enemies on screen, the frame rate doesn't always drop. Sometimes it does, but the frame rate of the enemies drops. Like, they will be stuttering, but you're not stuttering. It is very off-putting, it is very distracting, and it is very annoying, especially in the back half of the game, specifically the last 3 missions of the game after the flood is introduced, and you're dealing with the flood and the Covenant at the same time. It becomes very frustrating trying to get through some of those sections when the enemies are just stuttering at 15 frames per second, 30 frames per second, whatever the case may be, while you're going through a fight. It is very weird, very distracting. I was not a fan of that at all. I hope that gets patched up, or maybe it's better on PS5 Pro. I wonder what the performance is like on PC, on Xbox Series X. But yeah, definitely not a good look there. Either way, if you are a Halo fan, you'll probably enjoy this for what it is. And if you are new to the series, I definitely do recommend at least playing it if you're interested in the series, because it is definitely like the definitive way to play Halo the first game, Combat Evolved. Campaign Evolved is, of course, an improvement over it, so it's not a bad game. How worthy of your time and money it is just completely up to you to decide for yourself. And that's going to be it for this episode of Gaming Check-In. Thank you all so very much for watching. It was a bit of a lengthy one, but I hope that you all did enjoy this video. In terms of what the next episode will be, if there will be one for August, I want there to be one for August. We will see what happens. It really depends on whether or not I'm able to finish revisiting Final Fantasy 15 in a timely fashion, because that is going to be where all of my attention is focused now for the next couple weeks. So if I'm not able to get it done before the end of August, then there just will not be a gaming check-in video for August, and the next one will be for September, where we will definitely be talking about Marvel's Wolverine in some capacity, one way or another. So again, get subscribed, turn on notifications that we know as soon as all my new videos come out, especially that revisiting Final Fantasy 15 one, because that is the next big one on the docket. Let me know your thoughts on all these games that we talked about today down in the comment section below, that being Denshattack, Marvel Tōkon, or Halo Combat Campaign Evolved. Let me know your thoughts on them down in the comment section below. Let me know if you shared any of my opinions or if you felt differently about any of these games as well. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and like that, subscribe to the channel and hit notifications, that way as soon as the videos go live. My name is Tyler, this has been TheComfySpot, and we'll talk next time. Have a good one.